work in all this. Oops. Can everybody see that? Yes. Okay. So today we'll be going over setting up your account, adding your photo and introduction, building your network, marketing yourself, and how to use LinkedIn to JD remotely. And that's one of the big things about LinkedIn is that it's really about marketing yourself. I'm sorry, I don't know what that noise is. All right. So it's about marketing yourself. And that being said, you're going to want to think about what message you want to send. It's not social media, so the content that you share is going to be different than what you would share on your Facebook account or your Instagram. It's for business professionals to connect, so you're not going to have the same content across the board. And then you want to think about, why would someone want to connect with me? You want to be more than just a job title. What is going to spark their interest and make someone want to connect with you? When you're thinking about that. I'm sorry, I don't know if somebody's not on mute. All right, thank you.
Andrew, you need to mute.
Sorry, it sounds like somebody's doing dishes. Well,
Drew, shout out. Can you please mute yourself?
all right, well, I'll keep moving. I don't know if anybody has his number, maybe they could text. But when you're thinking about putting your LinkedIn together, think about the golden circle. And as a refresher, here's the Apple's golden circle is the wet. We just happen to make great computers, want to buy one, which is like us, you know, we help people find jobs. So you really want to think about this when you're putting your LinkedIn together. Oops, sorry. And I'll go ahead and pull up my LinkedIn now. Sorry, give me a second. No, I don't see my LinkedIn. All right, let me pull up my LinkedIn really quick. Oh, sorry, my Zoom thing had hit it. All right. There we go. All right, so there's the LinkedIn. And to sign up, you just enter your email address, and that's about all the information it needs. It needs a real name. And then you go to your profile, and you can just, and I would like to say that the first thing that stands out to me when I'm looking at somebody's profile is that it's complete. If you don't have the background here, it'll just be the basic background. And so you can edit all that just with the little tab here, click it, put in your name. And then this is where I put my why. Some people put their job title there, and you can put your job title there. I put my job title down here, and then this was what I came up with my golden circle. Trying to think about what I wanted to put out there other than, you know, just I'm an unemployment consultant. And the background picture, you can change that too. And if you don't have a background picture, you can just Google it, free, background pictures. And then you just click that one up, the edit button up here for the background, or the edit button there for the front. And then you can change. This actually isn't the best picture because they say you want to show 60% of your, like basically your shoulders and up. So it was originally, I had a bigger picture, but I had to cut it down. So eventually I'll be changing that. And so then there's a summary section on here also. And that's going to be when you go to add it, you would go here and you push about, and then you would add, that's where you add the summary in. It's not necessarily right on there as a default. And then this is your about right here. So that's where I did my blurb about kind of what I do. And they say not to use a lot of buzzwords. I mean, try and keep it to a minimum and just kind of be, just really describe what you're doing without, overkilling on the buzzwords. And then as you go down, there's gonna be your experience. So of course you update all that. And it's up to you whether you want things to be shown or not. You can hide your education if you want. When you click on that, it'll say share with network, or whether you want it to display. So there's lots of different things you can do with that. Did somebody have a question? There's skills, so you can add skills. And the important thing about the skills is that you really want to, they give you a lot of options, and you can actually search options also. And when you add your skills, you want to really pin the top 3 that are most relevant to you, what you want people to see. Because I have, other ones down here that I've listed, but to me, they aren't as important when I set it up. And then you can also, while you're in here, there's the endorsement settings, and you can click, like when you send out a connect invite, you can click whether or not you want to be endorsed, and then it'll just, it'll put the blurb out there to see, have people endorse you.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
I know when you're sharing your screen, you aren't able to see the chat, but somebody had a question. What do you put for industry when you're setting up your profile?
So for industry, let's see, where was that? I put civil. It was, I believe it's in this part. Sorry, I'm actually pretty new to LinkedIn. Before we started working remotely, I didn't even give it a second thought. It was just a basic setup, and I still had my old job on there. I hadn't even set that up correctly. So actually it's right here. So I put civic and social organization. That's just what made most sense to me. There was a couple of them that I was like, well, that could be. But as you can see, there's just a ton of different industries to choose from. And so you just kind of go through and see what works best for you. I don't know what other ones anybody else out there has maybe done. But like I said, for me, when I went through these, I just felt like personally the civic and social organization made sense. Does that answer the question? Okay, so your skills, you can take skills assessments too if you want. I haven't done those yet, so I wouldn't really be able to testify on that. So then you're going to go to building your network. When you go into build your network, you can click and it'll automatically, I'm sure you guys see people on here that you know, so you just connect, and just kind of go down through and, you know, just connect on people. And it'll send them a connection notice and say, oh, Jennifer Hamman wants to connect with you on LinkedIn. And so once you build those connections, and then you go into your, you can go into your connections and like, say I wanted to click on Megan and go down to her skills, because one of the good things about this is that you can really reach out to your teammates and endorse them so that they are more likely to be looked at as other people, like, oh, she's been endorsed on that. And so if I want to endorse somebody else, I go to teaching and I can just click it and it'll say, you know, I'd say she's highly skilled. And you can collect, I don't think it's mandatory that you put a relationship, because I was looking through here before too, and none of them are like just coworkers. So I would just not even, for that one, I wouldn't, but you could, you know, choose what you want and you just go through and endorse her. And if everybody kind of did that as, you know, a company, then we'd have the endorsements. And then when you're on your homepage too, you can, you can actually select what kind of endorsements that you want to show, because you don't always want all your endorsements to show. Like maybe I have on here that I'm good at baking, and so like, because I used to work at a bakery maybe, and then I have 500 endorsements for a bakery, but then only one on being able to teach or coach, then that wouldn't make much sense. And it would, you know, it would like skew what you want people to see. So you can manage your endorsements on what you want people, you know, what you want people to see. Does anybody have any questions so far? All right, whoops.
Hey, Jen, I don't see anything in the chat. I would recommend everyone speak up if they have questions, because Jen can't see the chat box. So that'll work better for her as a presenter.
Thank you. All right, so the next thing I kind of wanted to go over too was on your network. This is kind of, I thought it was a cool feature anyway. On your hashtags here, these are the hashtags that I'm following, and you can add hashtags that you want to follow that maybe you think are relatable to what you're looking for. Like I'm looking for people who are promoting equity, or I want people, you know, who are hiring or diversifying. Those are the things that are important to me. So you can really kind of get it to where you want it, where your feed is sending people in that that are coming in. And then here's an invitation. Jennifer Ham just sent an invitation, so I'm going to accept that. And that's how the network gets built. And then once it sees, like sometimes it'll pull up people based on either where you work or some of the things that you're following. All right, so I'm going to go back to my profile. And I've been trying to use this for JD by on my featured. So what you do to get a featured is you can either add to it, I believe, or when you post something, you can add in there from your posts. You can link things and upload photos, documents, and presentations. And so right here, that's what I did, is I uploaded the business benefits of employing people with disabilities, just so that way people can see right off the bat. I think that's really important, that people see that there's a lot of benefits to hiring somebody with disability, and that it's not, you know, you're doing them a favor. They're pulling their own weight. And then another thing that you can do is that you can comment on what you post and or react to what you post. One of the things that I put up on mine was the Pizzability video, and it's an inclusive workplace. It's not just backroom jobs. It's like the whole company. They're all hands in. And so what you can do is you can post it, and then you can see people who posted on it. But just like you could add a comment like, I love that all positions are open. to any level of, or I don't know, any position. But, and that's the thing, so I'm not a think on the fly person either. So that's kind of what I love about LinkedIn, using it to kind of connect with people, is that when you put something in there, like my golden circle thing, it wasn't like somebody comes up and asks you, oh, well, hey, what do you think about this? And you have to think about it right away. It gives you time to think and reflect and kind of really just build what you want and what you want to share out there. And then when you do go and connect with businesses, like say I wanted to look at Pizzability and I wanted to follow them because I wanted to go in and job develop there, I could just look up Pizzability. I don't know if it's the Glen Lake one. That's British Columbia. The other one actually is an unclaimed page because I did look it up. So it's an unclaimed page. But for pages that do have a company page, like Trillium has a company page. So you would go to the company that you want to follow, and then you can follow the company. And so right there, you just click on the follow us, which I'm already following. And then that'll bring them into your newsfeed also. And you can kind of share information, or like I said, endorse or be endorsed. And then once, for me, I feel like once we do get to go back out and connect with businesses, for some of the businesses that we have connected with through LinkedIn, that of course they're not all going to respond, but you know, it's another way of getting your foot in the door, and just being able to look at it and go, hey, you know, I saw, you know, that you posted this document on there that I was really interested in, and you know, that way it's not a cold lead. You've kind of done a little bit of research, and the stuff that they're posting on their page is going to be, of course, relevant to them. It's not just something that's just you came in hoping that that was something that would be interesting to them. That's something that they've actually posted and that they are interested in. So does anybody have any feedback on that so far, or anything that they're doing to utilize LinkedIn? I've seen some people that are on my feed that I've seen them posting and really utilizing, which I think is amazing. Like I said, I'm kind of new to it, but nobody. Another thing you can do is you can set up your LinkedIn for a client. Personally, I asked my clients, even if I had an ROI, I just feel like it's more of a public arena. And so I asked, and to set that up, you would need an email address for them. You could even create one, just however the family wants to go about it. But then you can post their resumes up here, like when you go to their profile, you could post a resume and have that be, you know, and they're featured, and then have them take the skills test. That'd be a pretty cool thing, is have them take a skills test, and also just reach out to people at Trillium and have them endorse your client on things that you know that they've that they're working on, and that you know that they're good at. But they have skills for quite a few different areas, and then there, you know, that's only to see. So and that's something you can do. I would say, you know, if you share your screen with your client and you're working on it with them, that's something you could do remotely and really have them build their network that way, and reach out more specifically to businesses. Because if you have your own page and you're an employment consultant, then it's kind of like your umbrella for everybody that you're working for. Where if it's just your client's page, then that would be easier to really target specific areas. And then if the family's not okay, like the family that I talked to that's okay with me setting up a LinkedIn account, I had spoken with them about, instead of putting a picture here, you could just do a Word document and, you know, do some cool font and like a colored background, and then just have their name like in some really nice font or something would be I would assume, an acceptable trade-off. And then that way their name's there, and the background photo can give a little bit of an idea of, you know, what they want to add to the feeling of their own page, and without putting their picture in it if the family doesn't want the picture in it. And then you can also go to the settings, and that's something that's, you know, you can work on with the families or with your client. Just go to your settings and your privacy settings, and then kind of go through and just see what how they feel about sharing. Some people, when you edit your public profile, you can choose to not share your image, where it's just like the little silhouette. But I think that if you do that, it's a little bit more impersonal. Whereas if you don't want to share your photo, it'd be better just to really put some font in there, and have it kind of, might even stand out a little bit rather than everybody having a picture, because most people do typically, if they don't have a background picture, they at least have their headshot. Your email address, when you add your email address, that's where you're going to get all your invitations and whatnot too. And you can have multiple email addresses on here also, and make one like your main one. Oh yeah, never mind. But yeah, you can go through and change all the settings on all of these to privacy. I'm sure like the same as Facebook. So, is there any questions on that so far?
Hey, Jen, it's Russ.
Hey, Russ.
You're way ahead of me, but as far as LinkedIn goes, I haven't been utilizing mine much, but I really like the idea of setting up for clients and sprucing mine up. And I got a feeling that a lot of people on this webinar are in the same boat, but people out there, let's help Jen by getting some input as far as what you're doing, or if you've done anything for a client, or if you've had any success with job development with this. Can we hear from some people that have more experience than I do?
This is Christina and Clark. Jen may have already touched on this, but I know I've connected with employers sometimes before I have a meeting. Like if I can secure a meeting with them, I will find them on LinkedIn if I haven't already and connect with them. So I've found success with that.
I think that's a really cool idea. Just so that way, like I said, and that kind of is part of like a pre-call planning process, even that you go in there with a little bit of information, and then that way it's more of a warm lead than a cold lead. Like you've gone in, you've looked at their LinkedIn, you've seen what's important to them, you've seen what kind of gives you an idea of the culture of the business too, right? Because you've kind of seen like what their values and what's important to them. So that's a great idea, Christina.
And I'll connect with like the individual. So if it's like, if I'm meeting with the, manager or whatever, I'll find their individual page and connect with them. Okay,
yeah, let me go over that really quick too, because when you go on LinkedIn, you can actually, some of the businesses have, like say, I don't know, Pizza Hut. I got pizza on the brain. So Pizza Hut, you can go to the company, and then sometimes the company itself will have their employees that you can click on. Let's see, Bogies. I know that Bogies has some employees. So when you go to the company website or company page, then there's the Bogies restaurant, and this one's in Florida, but you click on it and you can go through. And then it's also a cool way you can, with some of the businesses that you're working with, if you've been out of touch with them right now, with everything that's going on and you don't have like a direct number to somebody, or you can always just look up the company and then look for the members. And that's if they have their teams listed on there. But like I said, that's just right under where the name of the company is. A lot of times there's the employees are listed too, which is kind of a cool thing. Any other ideas?
I just want to say, it's Jen Ham. I just want to say that was a great tool. Thank you for sharing how to look up companies and find people that way.
Thanks. All right, so I'm going to go now to my home page. You know, and that's of course after you've been trying to build your network and stuff. And then there's actually a lot of really cool JD tools on here. There's who's hiring right now. You can click on it and it goes over like all the businesses that are hiring. And a lot of times it has, like I thought it was pretty cool that Pizza Hut was hiring 30,000 permanent workers. They're not just going to be part-time, you know, or coronavirus, they're going to be permanent. And so clicking on that, and then what I did is I kind of just reviewed the article, and then I clicked on Pizza Hut. And, you know, if you think that's really cool, you can follow it. You can also go to view the profile of the business. And then you can find also like the CEO. There was the CEO listed in the article. And then what I did is I actually searched the CEO, and I think his name was Keith. I'll skip his name. So anyhow, when I went ahead and connected with him, I just, like I said, I did my research. I saw in the article that the CEO is Keith something. And so what I did was I went ahead and I sent him an invite, or, you know, a connection. And when you send the connection, you can actually send a note with it, which makes it stand out a little bit more. And so, oh wait, actually I need to go to my network. So I'm going to put some more people up there on the spot. Sorry, my internet's probably running slow. So Karen, I could connect with her. Actually, you know what? Sorry. So when you connect with people this way, it doesn't give you the option. So that was my mistake. So if I look up Ashton and click on her rather than doing the automatic connect, then I can say, you know, something. Hey, Ashton, saw you on here. Would love to connect. But you can put. So when I did the CEO of Pizza Hut, what I had said was that I really thought it was amazing that not only was he hiring during this time, but that he was making it a permanent position, because that was going to provide so much a sense of security to the people that he's hiring, rather than just being temporary and, you know, everything's just kind of like, where are we going next? So I thought it was great that he was giving people that sense of security. Sorry, I can't talk and chew gum at the same time. So then I would just send it, and then she would get the note. I'm sorry for anybody that I'm connecting with right now and putting on the spot.
This is Christina. I was just going to offer that I know one thing that's unique about LinkedIn is that it does show the person whose profile you're looking at that you looked them up. So if you're trying to be like sneaky at all and researching employers, it's just something to be aware of.
Right. So that's right here under home. So when I go to who viewed your profile, I just click it. And I mean, as long as you're not doing anything crazy, I would think it wouldn't be too bad for them to see your face and go, oh, you look familiar when you go in. Let's see. Who viewed your profile viewers in the last? Sorry, I'm used to looking at who viewed it on the phone. I don't know if anybody wants to control that or maybe tell me. But you can, so usually there's a spot that you can click and it'll show you, oh, all profile viewers. Oh, I guess these are them. So, oh, so Eric looked at my profile because I sent him a request. Oh, and then actually you can go in private mode, it looks like, so. People can privately view you, but I'm not in private mode, so that's a good point that Christina made, is that if you're not in private mode, they're going to be able to see your profile. And and know that you were looking at them. So has anybody been networking or using LinkedIn to network with businesses, or like connect with businesses that are currently affected by the closures that their clients work with?
Not yet, but I'm planning on doing it now.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's a really cool tool. Some of the stuff that I've seen come out in emails, and I haven't done it yet either, Susan, is that I think that it'll be like some of the tools that we're getting sent out from Karen that are relevant that we could pass on to businesses if I had already been connected with the businesses that I work with, which I think is a great idea. Like maybe that's something that going back into the workplace when things are up and running again, I think it's a great idea to actually just connect on LinkedIn, and then that way it's completely professional. And when stuff like this comes up, you still have that mode of connection there, where it's not completely intrusive or as bothersome as a phone call. If they want to look at it, they can. And right now, I think a lot of people are looking at a lot of electronics. So I'm hoping that some of the requests that I've sent out, are being looked at, just because people do have a little bit extra time on their hands.
Hey, Jen, I think that's a great point. I never thought about that, connecting with my current businesses. But yeah, it's just another way to inobtrusively get your name in front of them. And if you've got some good content to give them, they probably appreciate it. I think most of us who are on LinkedIn have the free account. Does anybody have the premium account? Has anybody done anything with that?
No, I have not.
I know there's the little up here, you can click it for 1 month free. I've been tempted to click it just to see, but I'm one of those people who forgets to cancel my subscriptions.
So Jennifer, are you gonna be the go-to person if you have questions when we set up our account for our clients?
If you want to reach out to me, you can. Like I said, I just started utilizing it, but I do see the potential for things. And I think a lot of it is pretty intuitive, as long as you're looking at the right up here on top, and it'll walk you through. So I've pretty much got mine set up now, but when you're in your actual profile, it'll keep telling you, oh, you're 10% complete on your profile, work on this, and it'll give you like these little prompts. If you're anything like me and you're just like, oh yeah, I'll get back to that, it'll prompt you until you get your stuff filled out, which is kind of cool. And then another thing that I utilized, and I did put it on the end of my PowerPoint, was I utilized the 20 tips to a better, 20 tips to a better LinkedIn is, I believe, what it was called, the article. And what I did is I just went through, because I'm not the best with technology all the time, or LinkedIn, I wasn't familiar. But what I did is I just Googled the different sections if I couldn't figure it out. And then LinkedIn also has videos. So when you go to I believe it was in network. When you go into network, there'll sometimes pop up a little LinkedIn tutorials, or you can even just look up LinkedIn tutorials and it'll walk you through stuff. They have trainings on here too that you can do with your clients. That they send out when you put in your email. I can stop sharing my screen and then go to that. It's kind of cool because they have LinkedIn trainings that they'll send to your address, and so if you wanted to do that over the phone too, or like share your screen with a client, that'd be a really great opportunity to get some remote billable hours in. Let's see.
Hey, Jen, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I haven't helped a client set up a profile yet, but I know some other folks in Clark have done that. Do you know if there's a way to attach a video resume to a LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, I know for sure you could put the link, but so I'm not sure on the, I could go to my YouTube really quick and check. I know that you can, let me put my camera on. I know that you can go to your YouTube, and instead of sharing the link, like where you copy the link, I think what you would do is just get the embed form. And if you did the embed form, and if anybody out there knows how to do YouTube, any of that, like I said, this has been my crash course. The stay-at-home order was a crash course to figure this stuff out. And there's so much potential, and there's so much I'm going to keep doing. But from what I can think of is that it would be an embed one, and you embed the video, and then that would go under your. Let me pull it back up. That would go under your. I would think, like, instead of putting the paper resume at the top, which you could do the paper resume too, that would go under your featured, and then you would just add, and then you could either post it and then pin it on your featured, or you can just add it to your featured. But I think you would just upload the presentation or the embed. And if you do the embed, what you would do is you just go down and post it, and then you would add it to your features. So you would start a post, embed the video resume, and then post it. And then another thing that's cool is that when you do post something like that in with any of your posts, so you could hashtag it. And it looks like there is video here. I haven't really explored all of these. My clients didn't really want to share the video resume right off the bat. I was still waiting to hear back from them, and I wanted to set up the actual LinkedIn page for it. But then you can also see who can look at this. So the connections only would probably be a good one for clients, because you're connecting with the businesses, and it's a little bit more private for the client. But like I said, that's a good question. I think you would do the embed link. Does anybody know how to do the embed link? Well, you can reach out to me afterwards, because now I'm going to try it.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm going to find out too.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing is, just taking the time and building, especially if you're building it for the client and you're, putting it, getting the embed form and stuff like that, or playing with it. I would think that that's billable, because you're working on building their profile to reach out specifically to businesses, specific to what they're looking for. But yeah, like I said, I think it would just be, you would post it and then post the embed, because that's the same as like the Pizzability video that I have on here. It's a posted video, so you can post videos. Does anybody else have anything, or I can't see anybody's faces. Ooh. Okay.
Renee had a question in the chat a little while back that wondering if anyone had ever helped their client to use this and then explain to them how it's not like Facebook. So if anyone has any thoughts on that.
Hey Russ, was it Delaney that was this what she utilized with her client, that they went back and forth, or no?
Was that in one of our team meetings?
I think, she might have had him, had her client look things up and then get back to her, but I can't remember if that was, it might have been, that she had him go onto the LinkedIn jobs.
Yeah, I don't recall how he was getting that information back to her. He may have just been emailing her, but don't recall. Too many things in my head.
Yeah, so I would say, like, when I reached out to the families, I was really explicit about what I was sharing or the businesses that I would be contacting. whether or not they wanted the photo on there. And then of course, you know, if you're going to post a video resume, just being really specific. Some people would say if you have the ROI that, you know, go ahead and share, but I just like to let families know. That's my personal thing, because I think it's important to, you know, let them decide on what and how they want to share images. I know I don't like, you know, seeing pictures of myself out there, you know, being on camera, or a video of me being on something would really freak me out. So I just like to pass that choice on. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
This is Renee. I just kind of want to follow up with my question that I posed to everyone. I haven't used LinkedIn in terms of my client. I honestly update my LinkedIn every probably year. But I know for a couple, I've had to coach my clients on like Facebook and how, if they've decided to become friends with their coworkers or their employers, you know, talk about like what's appropriate and what's not. And, you know, LinkedIn looks very similar in many ways to Facebook. And so I was wondering if anyone had that experience of explaining that to them, you know, the professional boundaries that are kind of hard to really see and explain in this digital world. And yeah, people's thoughts on that, or even how to explain that to them, I guess.
I would say a social story would be a great thing that you could put together. And billable activity, you know, putting together a social story saying that, hey, you know, we're going to be utilizing LinkedIn to connect with businesses, and that's if they have control over it. I know that for my client that he probably wouldn't have a lot of control over what's on there, so that's why I run it past the family and just kind of check and see what they're interested in sharing. So I don't know if anybody else has. Looks like Delaney might have some feedback on that. No. But yeah, I think that, but if you wanted to put a social story together, just saying that, you know, it's the same kind of talk that we would have in the office or in the workplace, and just make sure that they realize what's relevant to the workplace. I'd say if you've already done the coaching as to what's relevant to the workplace connections, that would be pretty easy to transfer over into a social story.
Hey Jen, it's Linda. I got Delaney on. I texted her, so she's here for you.
Hey, Delaney.
Hi.
We were just talking, was it, I didn't know if you're on or not. Sorry, when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see anybody or the chat or anything, but we were asking, was it LinkedIn that you're utilizing to work with your client where you're having them research some stuff and get back to you, or?
I don't know if that was me.
Oh, sorry for putting you on the spot.
I do have a client who I made a LinkedIn for before. I did try to have him do that once. He needs definitely some support with follow through. Someone who would be capable of doing that. But my experience with him using LinkedIn on his own is that I really have to be there to kind of help him follow through with it. I think it was Olivia who had the client who they actually would both research like 3 jobs a week or a month or something and connect.
You're right.
I'm happy to share though my not success story with LinkedIn.
No, but that's a great thing, is that so you made the LinkedIn account and then you had to, that's something that you could coach through, which is might be a cool remote activity, because now that you can share a screen and give control to this of the screen, walking them through, and then that would also help. I think it was Renee who was saying about the possibility of what they're posting on there, but maybe if you guys both got on together and you know you have control of the screen together, then that's a really great thing that you could coach and walk through.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I actually wrote it down when we had the last one to try to reconnect him with on LinkedIn. And there's been a couple of other trainings that have mentioned how helpful it would be. So I think I may actually try sharing screens with him to go through it.
Yeah, and especially, did you set it up just specifically for that client? Did you find it more helpful because then you could really target the businesses that he's looking at?
Yeah, so he is someone who's looking for a job in like computer repair and technology and that kind of thing. And I think that, at least in my experience, using LinkedIn tends to find more professional level jobs. And especially being in the tech, wanting to find something in the tech industry, that would have been a good tool for him. Just finding jobs and also putting his profile out there. But unfortunately, it just at that time didn't work out. But I have hope.
Thank you, Delaney.
So I can add, I find this really encouraging because I haven't followed employers for my clients before, but I have 2 new clients that are coming on my caseload that are going to need a lot of assisted technology and a lot of technical, all that stuff that I'm just starting to learn about. And so I think I'm going to add places that I can follow that are industries and businesses where they could potentially work, and that might get me really connected in a much better way than just, you know, surfing the web or something. So yeah, really good stuff, Jen. Great presentation.
Thanks. And they actually, Linda, I appreciate it when you guys share because sometimes it'll make something click in my head, is that when you go on LinkedIn also, sometimes there's a hashtag hiring that you can do. So some of the businesses will put on there that they are hiring. And so when they are hiring, then you can follow the hashtag and find jobs that way, or find businesses that you're interested in, then follow them, and knowing that they're hiring too. If you know that's
right, because what happens with people, with businesses I follow now, like if I don't want to follow them anymore, I just unfollow them, which is what would happen with any business or industry that we follow temporarily or long term.
right. And you know what's great about LinkedIn too is that even though it shows that you've looked up a profile, it won't show that you unfollowed somebody. So like if you wanted to unfollow them from your feed, you know, you don't want their stuff popping up in your feed, it doesn't let them know. It's not like Facebook where it's just like a slap in the face, oh, I just unfollowed you, or I don't know if Facebook does that, or unfriended you, I guess is what they do on Facebook. But where it's obvious, it's more discreet on LinkedIn that you're not following their content anymore.
Hey, it's Russ again. Getting back to Renee's point, I think for myself, I go through my list of clients, and in my head, I've got a list of clients that this might be useful for, this may be useful for, but I have some concerns. And then I also have a list of, I am not setting that up for that person. They don't have any boundaries on that. But for the people that are kind of the maybes, for me, since I know some things about them that are kind of trigger areas or inappropriate areas, I would put that in my social story as, okay, here's a list of things that would be good to include in your LinkedIn, and then here's things that would be inappropriate, and then, you know, I might have the conversation of, or even in the social story of why, if I say this, they may take it this way, and it may, you know, the end result is you're not going to look good online, and we're not going to achieve the goal that we're set. So I think just putting in that personal information, whether it's your knowledge or knowledge from a support person in a social story, would be really ideal to kind of show them the difference in those, in their own kind of language.
Yes, definitely. I should have jumped on that earlier, but yep.
So I just looked at the chat box really quick because when, like I said, when I share my screen, I couldn't see it. But yeah, and Susan had mentioned also that if you make clear boundaries from the beginning, emphasizing personal versus professional, that it shouldn't be a problem. But then again,
Like in a
we're-
social story, for example.
right.
And
like we're-
just,
sorry.
oh, and just make sure that, you know, you emphasize more on the positive and not so much on the negative, and always have affirmative sentences in there that also explain the why behind it, because knowing the why behind something is very important.
Right. I don't know if anybody else has anything else that they want to add. Looks like we got 9 minutes. All right.
I have a question. What would be a selling pitch for the parents or caregivers? Because some of my clients are not very open to doing like virtual meetings and such.
When I approached the family that I asked, they're more private and not very big on technology either. And at this point, it's a really great time to make your pitch, I think, because I let them know, hey, you know, I'm not going to be getting out into public spaces. We are following the stay-at-home order, and this is what I'm doing to utilize connecting with people. And I think if you're, like I said, I think it's really a good idea just to be clear with anybody that you're working with, is that, you know, I can put their picture on there, or I can leave it off and put some font up there instead. Or that, you know, you can, that the picture will only be shared with people that you connect with, and knowing that you're only using that account to connect with businesses that they're looking, or industries that they're looking with, might help to explain to them that it's not like it's a public profile and anybody can connect. You would have to go through the privacy settings, I think, with them, and if they're kind of reluctant, you know, some families and some people might be all in, but for the ones that aren't, I would say that you'd really want to just address their concerns, find out what their concerns are, and then figure out how you can take care of, you know, their needs, as far as like if they don't want to be a public profile and they just, you know, but they're okay with connecting with businesses, because really that's what we're doing, is we're connecting with businesses on behalf of the client. So, and it would make more sense, just letting them know it makes a little bit more sense if it's coming from them. And another family, I also shared my LinkedIn profile with them so they could kind of see what's on there and get an idea of it, because not all the families have used LinkedIn or know exactly what they're looking at when they're picturing, you know, they're picturing Facebook, I think, when some of the families, where other families, they might, you know, utilize it themselves. So they might even have some tips for you.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. And I'm just going to pull up my screen one more time on the PowerPoint. So when this goes out, I'll make sure to email it out, but with the PowerPoint too. So for people who are brand new to the to LinkedIn, I just, you know, added some screenshots, and then the golden circle, kind of coming up with your why, because I think it's, you know, it's nice to have a why on there of what you're doing. This is what I kind of used to guide myself through setting up my LinkedIn initially. And then there's a how to sign up link through LinkedIn that will walk you through how to set it up. And like I said, the only thing with setting up for a client too is that if you can't use your email address on multiple LinkedIn accounts that I found, because I initially tried to set up with my email address that I have two email addresses on my LinkedIn account, and you can't necessarily just use the same one. It gave me like an error message that this email was already being utilized or something like that. So just being aware that you might have to go through the extra step of setting up a Gmail account or something like that for your client, and that might be something maybe Delaney can share if maybe her client had an email address that she used, or but if not, that's something that you would run by the family too.
Yep, he already had his own email. We just used that.
Makes it easier.
Hey, great training, Jen. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Press.